So we have looked at producing graphs, plotting. On the other side, let's look at something a little bit more interesting. Arguably, let's look at sketching, drawing, and things like that. So we're going to start off by importing turtle. Now, what we're going to do is we need a name for our turtle. I'm going to call the turtle Mr. Sus, like this. Let's keep it simple, like that. Mr. Sus is going to be equal to turtle.turtle, something like that, and brackets. And we'll discuss this in a little bit more detail afterwards. In addition, we need to recognize that Mr. Sus, our turtle, let's make him a certain color. So let's say I would like it so that dot color equals, let's say, yellow. Let's do yellow. Something similar to that. In addition to that, let's also talk about the screen. So the screen is going to be equal to turtle.screen with this situation. And notice the pattern here, turtle.screen. We'll look at that again in a moment in a bit more detail. So what we're then going to look at is this screen's background color. So screen dot, let's say background color, and we know how we like it, black. Next. Let's run this and see what happens. So when I run this, you can see that there's a little bit of an error here. It says screen.turtle equals screen. I mean, that one's an obvious error. So notice how it tells you exactly on the line as well. So it says, for example, that this manifested in line 5. I always consistently suggest to read these in detail before dismissing. And so here we have it. There we go, now it's black. So you can see that Mr. Sus is equal to a turtle, is going to be the name of our turtle. The color of it is yellow. You can see this has happened here. And therefore, everything seems to be all good. Let's put something in to make Mr. Sus move around 50. Now, if he's going to move forward 50, we need to say that we want it to be particularly Mr. Sus to do so. And notice the dot represents this change in the turtle itself. And so you see it moved here forward 50. So just quickly, let's have a quick conversation about this structure so that we can get used to it somewhat. The idea really here, actually I'm going to go back and get a little bit more, get that last bit in, that import. That's actually going to be the starting point of this quick discussion. So if I bring that in here, the main thing to recognize, of course, is that we needed to import this from the very beginning. So that's what we did. What is it that we imported? We imported the concept of turtle. And what turtle represents, you can actually get this information quite easily if you recognize that one of the things that you can do is you can hover over things, just like this, and notice that it starts talking. Turtle graphics is a popular way for introducing programming for kids. It was part of the original Logo programming language developed by Wally Ferzig, sorry if I destroyed your name there, and Seymour Papert in 1966. So this gives you the information as to what it is. It's pretty much the idea of a robot moving across a screen, and it starts at 0, 0, where the first 0 represents X and the second 0 represents Y, similarly to our plotting system that we discussed in the last video. After an import turtle, give the command turtle.forward. So here they've said turtle.forward. Our one is called Mr. Sus. And it moves on screen 15 pixels if you did F15. So just so you can be aware of that, do not rely on teachers or any individual to get the information you need. You literally can just hover over it. So with regards to when I import turtle, what I'm going to definitely suggest here is that I don't really want to I need to call it a name. I have to call it something. So the first thing I do is I say, okay, we're going to call it turtle. Turtle was what they called it in the last video, in the last image I just showed you. This one's called Mr. Sus. And so Mr. Sus is colored yellow, and Mr. Sus is moving forward 50. That is pretty much just the idea that the turtle commands are followed by dots. Nice one to remember. Additionally, the labeling of color must just be the simple yellow, blue, black, etc. And notice this exact same pattern happens with regards to the screen. So when we do the screen, your screen, I use turtle.screen this time, whereas it was turtle.turtle. In other words, what it is that the turtle is going to take all of its information from something that is known as the library of turtle. Let's just simplify it to that. And we're going to call it Mr. Sus. In terms of that turtle, we want to consider the screen, and we're going to call that screen. I can call it whenever I want. And then I said screen is going to be colored black. So that's one way to view this structure. And then when we come back, you can see certain things that I can therefore change to show you this. So Mr. Sus is going to be colored yellow. I can say that let's color him red. I've got the circle of death. Let's see if I can clean up that circle, get rid of the bodies. Oh, here we go. Something might be happening. There we go. So the turtle came out red. Nice and neatly. Another thing we could do, let's continue a little bit. So we've got Mr. Sus is forward 50. Let's just put the other kinds of things in here. We can say Mr. Sus is going to then it's actually going to follow this second because it's been coded downwards. It reads downwards. So we got forward 50. Then let's make it do left 90. And if I copy this out 4 times, I should be able to get my square. So 1, 2, 3. Well, let's see. Maybe I'm talking nonsense. Let's go. So boom, there you go, lovely little square. So it did it first, went forward 50, then left 90, then forward 50. Additionally, let's go further to this. Let's say we want to change the shape. So I would say something like, see if I can remember this. Mr. Sus is something really simple, dot shape. And then from there, as long as you keep a shape that's nice and simple in mind, you'll probably be able to blag it. Of course, you can also hover over and it will give you a list. So let's try something like that. So Mr. Sus is going to become a square, and then he's going to walk around in a square. Look at that one. Additionally, why not we get rid of the actual line that it's drawn? So we can do that by also adding in something like Mr. Sus dot pen up, not penopo, pen up. And in so doing this, it should move around, but this time it doesn't bring its line with it. So that's a simple introduction to the import turtle for now. And I do believe the next stage will perhaps be to consider such things as looping them. So we'll talk about that next time, and I shall see you all in the future. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye.